Hi everybody. Tonight we're going to do another before and after look at my Gourami tank here. I've had some changes happen recently. One of the things that happened was my bumblebee jelly died, and I believe it was because it ate an otosynchronous catfish. I got pretty good reason to believe that. So since it's died, I have actually put a few other fish in the tank. I've added more otosynchronous in there, so I have about 7 or 8 of them, something like that in there now. It's hard to say. I also added 2 rubber lip plecos. So hopefully I will get a little more algae control. Kind of got distracted by watching my snakeskin gourami there, having a little bit of a run around. But I'm trying to get the algae under control in this tank under more natural circumstances rather than getting in there and having to scrape and clean all the time. And if you watch my videos regularly, you'll see that I've already reduced the algae in this tank tremendously by not doing anything other than reducing the lighting and reducing how much I feed every day. I haven't really done anything to this tank, and I've almost completely eliminated the Spirogyra green hair algae. So I'm really happy with that. I almost think I've gone too much in the other direction, and I'm ready to build the light back up. I want more light in the tank than this. Unfortunately, I cannot afford right now to put new lighting fixtures on there. I've done a lot of shuffling around of lights here recently, and I just can't get the good lighting back on this tank for the time being. But rest assured, I will get some more better light on there soon. And for those of you who are very astute and you are wondering what is that blinking light up in the left-hand corner, this is something I've had for quite a long time. I've talked about it before, so I finally went ahead and dug it out. That is a CO2 sniffer, and the reason it's blinking is it's letting you know that it is actively sniffing right now. Over here we have my CO2 controller, and if you will notice the blinking lights on this unit, right now there's one red blinking light. That indicates that there is 1,000 parts per million CO2 in this room right now. If there was an additional white or amber light, that indicates 100 parts per million. And of course you sit here and you count and you add them together and so on and so forth. See, we just moved up to 1,100 parts per million on that last blink, and there we go, we got 1,100 parts per million again, etc. So I now have a way to actively count and monitor the CO2 in the room as it rises and falls, and I can then do much more accurate testing on my tanks, and we can start doing things like opening the windows and ventilating the room, and we can watch the CO2 levels in the airfall, and then we can periodically test the pH in the tank and see how that's affecting the tank. And we'll be able to do a lot more testing with the CO2. I know I've done some stuff like that already. I have shown definitively that the levels of CO2 in the room actually do directly affect the levels of CO2 in your tank. They affect your pH. They may affect other things as well. Who knows? Let's find out. We've got some equipment we can test now, so that's what we're going to do. At any rate, for the time being, tonight all we're going to do is a simple water change on this. I am going to get in here and do a good amount of gardening. I'm going to get rid of quite a bit of this red tiger lotus. I'm going to trim that way back and get that back under control, and maybe if anything else in there needs to be trimmed down, I'll get a little bit of that trimmed down too. And I also forgot to mention I have added a twig catfish. A little farewella is in here somewhere. I've not seen it since I've put it in, but it is indeed in there. And if you look very closely on the very back edge of that rock, you will see my hillstream loach. That was the only algae eating fish in this tank, with the exception of a couple of otosynchronous. And now there is a small army of algae eating fish in this tank. And when I say algae eating fish, that really means offwuchs. They don't generally eat the algae itself, or the algae alone, I should say. The fish will starve to death if you give them a diet of algae only. They actually need the surface growth of the biofilm. It's called offwuchs, and it is actually a little stew of little microcrustaceans and micro worms and other small organisms that provide quite a bit of protein and calcium and everything else. It's not simply just algae. So when you have fish that are called algae eaters, they're generally much more than that, and that's why they will not simply just eat algae off your glass all day long. It's not enough food for them. So let me get going, and I will do my water change here, and then we will get the after for this, and we'll just do a simple after and any follow-up thoughts that I may have after we've gotten a little bit of cleaning done. So sit tight, and I'll see you in a second. Alright everybody, there's your after. It sure makes quite a difference. I've been doing this for several years and I'm still just stunned every time I do a big water change like this at how much those tannins really accumulate and how much they darken up the tank. So I didn't do anything at all except drain some water. I did drain a fair amount. You see where this flat rock right there is on top. I drained the water down until the surface of that was exposed. I didn't fully expose that rock, but I did get the surface of it exposed. So that gives you a pretty good idea. I did probably a 60 to 70% water change. I really seriously cut back on the red tiger lotus there. That was just growing out of control. I had pieces that were all the way up floating on the surface, so I was long overdue for getting them out of there. And I am delighted to say that while I was doing the water change, we had the water level so low that all of the fish were crammed in there and everybody was getting kind of jostled around. And during all of that, I got a little glimpse of my South American bumblebee catfish in there. Now, I mentioned earlier that I did have a bumblebee jelly in here that has passed away recently, but I've had a bumblebee catfish, just a general South American bumblebee, in here for over a year now, and I've probably seen it for a grand total of about 30 seconds in that year. And added to that list was about 1.5 seconds worth of seeing it while I was doing the water change. Now, I did manage to get some video, and I did not include it in this. I didn't interject it into the middle. I'm going to shoot that as a standalone video, so I will go ahead and attach a card right here if you want to watch that video. It's not a whole lot, but you do get to see a little look at his face as he pokes his face out. So I was excited about it. I hope you are too. It does prove that he's still alive, and there is hope that we will see him again here in the very near future. So thanks for watching. Look forward to different experiments coming up with the CO2 now that I have some testing equipment installed, and look forward to more updates on all of my tanks. So thanks again for watching this one. If you're not already subscribed, please do so, and I'll see you real soon on the next one.